I want to have a conversation with somebody in the know, somebody who is running a software company, a SaaS company, somebody who hires engineers, coders, marketing, products, salespeople, and really talk about how AI is impacting the job market today. But more importantly, look into the future and think about whether AI could lead to a potential nasty white collar recession. Dana Dunford, you're the CEO of Hemlane, built an amazing platform product. But I'm just curious, what are you doing today with AI? And what do you think AI might lead?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. I have a lot of strong opinions on AI and the jobs, and then how to think about yourself as a white collar worker, for those of you who are, and also for your children, what to think for them. So let me just start with who's still going to have a job as AI transforms, becomes better, smarter, etc. The first is you really need to make sure. I think right now there's a lot of people don't take enough time to like think strategically because we're always connected to devices and we have instant gratification, the convenience culture of like go, 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 go. And a lot of really, really complex problems require you to stop and start thinking and writing things out versus just actioning things. And that skill set, I believe, is going to be a really prominent one for those who still have jobs in, 5, 10 years. Now, the second thing, I also want to talk about the Industrial Revolution too. But the second thing I want to bring up here is that people who have those skills and who are very strategic thinkers will just be able to do more with less. And what I mean by that is, for example, if you are a top lawyer, because the legal profession is one of the first ones that can get disrupted, like contract law will become a thing of the past because AI will just continue to get better with it.
Right.
What will happen is those top lawyers will still be lawyers, but it's very important to know, one, what are the prompts you're putting into AI? Because if you look at how AI does it today, a lot of times it will give you the wrong answer, and it's not the AI's fault. It's actually how you prompted the question. So the more detail you can put specifically into that question of how you ask it, the better the response is going to be. So if you just say, let's say, draft a lease for California, a state specific lease, it's not going to give you something that I would recommend you use. You're going to have to be very specific about what county you're in. Make sure you're looking through any sort of case law. Make sure that this lease is broken down by into every single possible term it could have, which ones are required, which ones may not be. Like, you need to have those answers so long and detailed, or the questions, that it actually gives you the right response. And so I think those who are in these white collar jobs that are much more administrative, they're going to find we need fewer of those administrators because their jobs are now just being displaced. Like for me, a lot of times it's actually faster for me to use AI than a human to get answers to certain things I need. So I'm already seeing that in my own personal job. In anything administrative I need to do, I would actually prefer to work with AI because it works 24/7. But a lot of it is, how am I asking the question? And then me as a human, do I know enough about that topic to call BS on it and make sure it is the right answer? And so that's the first thing. It's going to make people just faster. It can get through all case law. It can get through whatever to analyze really quickly. It's going to make you faster in your job. And that may displace some of these more administrative or contract law type positions. You're going to see the same thing in engineering. So with engineering, if it's a really complex problem, like our best engineers, which AKA is all of Hemlane's engineers, when we tell them go and build this, they come back with about 5,000 questions.
Hmm.
Did you ever think about it this way? Did you ever think about it this way? Do you want this included or excluded from it? And then when they build it, they're thinking of 12 different ways to do it, and here's the right way to do it. But they are actually more efficient with AI, because let's just say I go to one of our engineers and I say, here's the Figma. With Figma is what designers use to build like any sort of landing page or UI UX design, very similar to what was Sketch people used a long time ago. They'll say, here's the Figma file. Can you guys sign off on this? And it's something as simple as a landing page. Like if you go to onerentalatatime.com, if you go to hemline.com, it's just one of those landing pages. That is very structured, very easy to understand what needs to be built, and the code can be done by AI. So something like that would be where we would have AI complement an engineer today. In the future, it will replace the engineer. The engineer won't need to do it. But our hope is that we always hire individuals that are so smart that are thinking, but what about this? But what about this? That it just makes them faster, and they can get all of that administrative stuff done faster. And then the more complex problems, they can strategize with us and work back and forth. And so that's where I think as a white collar worker, you really need to, if you're not in your job every day asking, but why? Why are we doing this? But what about if we do it this way? If you're not asking those questions and you just get a task and you do it, your job is probably going to be replaced with AI.
Yeah. When I think about what's going on as a hiring manager and leader for multiple decades, I kind of see it the same way. I think AI is going to get rid of what I generally call the entry level job,
Mm-hmm.
right? The busybody job. And, that really has multiple ramifications when you kind of play that out into the future. First and foremost, engineering, we'll go there first, coding. You know, uh, for a long time in the Silicon Valley, it was an arms race for who had the most engineers, right? Thinking that if you have the most engineers, you can get the most stuff done. I think what's going to happen very quickly in engineering, much like rest of the workforce, is, to your point, they're going to become, I don't know, 10x engineers I've heard thrown around, right? They're just that much better, that much more informed. But I think you're going to have to invest in yourself. It's not going to be just who's the best programmer at some language. It's going to be that engineer who has that backbone understanding, but also understands the business, the platform, the process, the customer.
Mm-hmm.
And, those folks are going to probably become more valuable, and you're going to be needing less of the Java applet creator or the, HTML person, just to date myself.
Yep.
Um, that entry level, that stuff's just going to go
Yeah.
away.
Yep. Yeah. And then the thing I wanted to bring up about the Industrial Revolution is, if you remember with the Industrial Revolution, there were predictions back then that one, jobs would completely go away.
Yeah.
And that you'd have huge unemployment rate, which we have not seen. Unemployment rate has stayed basically the same. It changes, right, with recessions, and the cycles that we see in the market. And then two, they said there was a prediction that people would work less.
Mm-hmm.
So fewer hours. And actually, we've seen since the Industrial Revolution, people actually work more.
Yeah.
And so what we saw was those jobs just got transitioned to something else. And so for us, what that means is jobs are going to go to people who are working for companies like NVIDIA to do make processes faster, computers faster, et cetera. We're going to start seeing jobs go to tracking what's going on with AI, or making sure your prompts are better and in it. And so I think what's going to happen is you're going to see jobs change. And then I think the most important thing is education for your
Yeah.
children. And because the worst thing for any school to do is to say, you can't use AI, or you can't use, it was sort of like when they said you couldn't use computers initially to help
Mm-hmm.
make yourself better or faster. And it's like, well, you're telling kids to write essays. There was a while in like cursive, but
Yeah.
then they go into jobs and they're always behind a computer.
Yeah.
And so what's going to happen is, I think the best the best schools are going to be the ones who say, no, kids can use AI. Now use that AI and now think about it. Did it tell you the right thing? Did it not? Why or why not? And if it teaches kids to critically think without having to do as much of the administration, then I do think that you are winning. But if you have a teacher who says, hey, your kids can't use AI to write an essay, you guarantee they're still going to use AI to write an essay. And then they're going to say, make it look like it wasn't written by AI and make a couple of few spelling mistakes. And that's a disservice to this society and setting this kid up for success. What you need to do is say, hey, you can use this. This is a new tool, but the tool is not, you have to be smarter than the tool. And you have to figure out how to critically analyze this topic, how to make this better. What is wrong with what the AI says? Why is that wrong? And I think what's going to happen is you're going to get more out of people. And then the crazy one is Figure.ai and what is going to happen with companies like that. And that's where, Michael, if you want a coffee right now, your robot would just bring you a coffee in your house. And those types of companies, for those not familiar, Figure.ai was the one that basically came out and said, we're going to make robots that look like humans, AI robots that look like humans. And the reason is everything's built for a human. So like behind me is some door handles. The door handles are not made for a small little robot. They're built for humans. So that's why we need to make AI robots look and act like humans. And I think that will be an interesting one because they'll clean your home, they'll make your coffee, they'll unload your dishwasher. And I think for me, it's like, okay, well, what do you do with that extra time? Do people just become healthier and they work out because they don't have to? And maybe what we've seen with this transformation of, health is a really big problem in the US today with both not only healthcare costs, but also just the health of humans and obesity. It's like, well, then do people, instead of doing these manual things that aren't helping their health, maybe they go and work out more or something else. And so I think that will also be a very interesting one to see what happens there.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things I want to kind of go through that you did. First, the Industrial Revolution. I think you're absolutely right. I think there's a lot of people that just look at AI, much like the Industrial Revolution, and just assume we're all going to be unemployed. History says that's not true. There's not been a technology innovation over the last several hundred years that, grew unemployment. Jobs changed. Some people clearly impacted.
Yeah.
But there's more jobs at the end of it. And frankly, more impactful jobs, right? I think, the busybody, entry-level jobs going away is not a bad thing. You get to go do more impactful value add work.
Yep.
The second thing that I think AI is going to do, and I'm already seeing it with some of my friends, is the startup company, right? The startup company of 20 years ago, you really had to get to 10, 15, 20 people to really get any momentum going. Even if you were working 16-hour days, 7 days a week, it just took a lot of oomph to get a product out the door. I strongly suspect there will be plenty, there'll be $100 million revenue companies with less than 5 employees.
Yeah.
I could see that coming.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to do seed rounds. The founders are going to keep the majority of the ownership because they don't do an A, a B, a C, a D round. And, there might be $1 billion valued company with less than 20 people in the next 10 years. So I think solopreneurs, small startups who become laser focused on a niche are going to win. And that's the whole idea of we're going to be better. And then lastly, kids. I think if I was a parent today, knowing the school systems again, my date is 20 years old. Teresa's 32, almost 33. I would be sending them to summer camps where AI is the thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think you've got to make sure your kids are, you don't want your kids coming out of high school or college only thinking entry level. You want them to have the tools to jump in. And again, this is going to be crazy. I'm just thinking about this out loud. Entry level job used to be 40, 50, 60, depending on where you are in the country. an entry-level job now with a set of skills, you're talking 80, 90, 100,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be wild, but parents, do yourself a favor, get your kids educated now.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And one kind of final point on it that I want to bring up is that building AI, I couldn't agree with you more that these incredibly smart people can operate with really small teams and just do it better
Just do it.
because they're
Yeah.
asking the right questions. Like, it's crazy. There's the example of the DMV, like with the government, right? And like, if you try to scale the DMV, which is the most inefficient process every time you go to the DMV, you're like, why does it operate this way? Like, we need someone to come in and make this better.
Start over.
Yeah, and so you see a lot of companies operating that way because no one's asked why. You haven't had, and so everyone will be using AI, but some people will be using it incorrectly. And then
Mhm.
the best companies will say, "Hey, we are so freaking smart. We're using it correctly and we can just operate with fewer people." So I couldn't agree more with that. I also think with this AI and the AI startups out there today, because there's so much funding in it, you're going to have a couple of winners, a lot of winners, but you're also going to have a lot of
Oh
losers.
yeah,
And so we're going to
for sure.
see, with all this money that's going in, you're going to see a lot of AI companies go out of business, but you're also going to see some wild successes. And so it'll be interesting to watch the next couple of years here.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. One of the things we have on this channel, obviously, is Dana, CEO of Himlane, but also you can go check out Himlane, himlane.com. Just mention ORAT. There is a trial. There's free versions, paid versions, all of that stuff. Go get yourself a discount. Dana, closing thoughts?
I'm excited for the next 5 years here, and maybe, hopefully, we're never replaced by AI with this show. But there's probably some compliments that we'll have in here.
We're going to have little images of ourselves talking. That'd be cool.
Exactly, exactly. Thanks,
All
Michael,
right.
for having
Thank you.
me.
Later.